started. So, hey everyone, let's get started today with today's live stream. Welcome to the Box Mining live stream, the stream that we do every Monday and Friday, Hong Kong time, 11 a.m., bright and early in the morning. So, welcome to our live stream today where we're going to talk a lot about cryptocurrencies. And there's a lot going on. There's a lot of talk on Dogecoin this weekend, and there's a lot of aftermath from that. But honestly, I think the aftermath is actually quite good. I'm actually really bullish after this week. Despite Dogecoin going down, I have a shot of the Dogecoin here. You can just see the crater that happened a little bit over here. I think few were surprised. If you've been watching this channel, you would not have been surprised by this giant dip that happened right after the SNL skit where Elon Musk went on to talk about Dogecoin. A lot of people will probably be still pondering why Doge down right at this current point. But if you've been watching the channel, you've been following my trades, you know what's happening. But something that's also quite important about this chart and what's happening here is it also reveals a lot about the sentiment and the mentality of this market right now. And it's my belief that after watching the whole aftermath of Dogecoin and the catastrophe that was that we're in one of the strongest bull markets ever, because, and I'll give you the reasoning for this in the Dogecoin segment today, so stay tuned for that. We also have a package like a huge pack of news. Oh wow, I don't really even have the window capture enabled here, so let me just flip that window capture on. But we have a lot of news on topic and just see all the tabs open. We're going to take a look at the markets. It's a really exciting time. We are at almost $4,000 for ETH at this current point. 4,000, and we're almost here, breaking 60,000 for the price of Bitcoin today. So what an exciting day to do a live stream. Huh? This is Asian bulls coming in. This is, if you're looking for the Asian bulls, this one would be it. But for sure, this is a very exciting time right now. We're probably gonna be able to see Ethereum break that 4,000 mark on today's live stream. So you know what, but at a better day to start the show than this, right? Anyways, so let's get started. We have tons of news, tons of announcements, and everything going on. I hope you guys are tuning in at a great time. If you guys are, make sure you smash up those likes. It really does help this channel grow. You know, we're always honest. We always give a very good overview. I've been in the space for longer than I should, and we always give a good overview of what's happening in markets. All that excitement and hype aside, we tell you guys what is really going on in the back end. So I really appreciate it if you would just smash up those likes here. It really does help the channel. And of course, we do some surprise live streams. We have a live stream with Crypto and Friends coming up this week as well. Make sure you stay tuned for it. That will be in 2 days, exactly same time in 2 days, and that's going to be featuring some of the really cool people and get to ask some good questions, and we'll have a great discussion and a good chill out session. So anyways, guys, let's get started today and let's get the show on the road. All right, ladies and gents, we have 4K for the price of Ethereum. We just crossed it in that few seconds that we. Okay, maybe not. You guys see that refresh? We're super close. Okay, yeah. It depends on how you refresh, but we're super. We're just at the cusp of breaking $4,000 for the price of Ethereum. You can see that giant smile on my face. Yes, the markets are moving up today. We're at such a critical point because $4,000 is such a big psychological barrier. It's one of those situations where, you know, I've been talking about ETH since it was like at 100, it was at 200, and now no one cared at that time. You know, when it's 200, 100, no one cares about ETH, right? But now at 3,000, 4,000, everyone is asking me, oh, are you still in Ethereum? It's a great time to get in now. Well, it really depends. The best time would have been a little bit earlier, but right now we're still seeing that strong growth. I still held on to all my ETH. Well, just a little bit. I cashed out a little bit over the last few spans, just being responsible, being, you know, like taking a little bit of profits. But I do have to admit, I went back into ETH this weekend. I'll tell you why. There's a good reason for why I believe this run is going to go for much longer than at least a lot of the bears predicted it. You guys see on last episode, right? So last Friday's episode on Box Mining here, I was a little bit bearish. Admittedly, I was a little bit bearish, especially with, we brought some bears out. We got, we had a rap song out. When the rap song comes out, I'm usually saying I'm a little bit bearish. We brought these little bears out. Winter is coming though. But today I'm actually a lot more bearish, and I'll tell you a little bit why that is. And this really deals with sentiment, right? We'll do a full recap of that during the Doge market. But right now, at the current point, I'm definitely a lot more bullish after this weekend. After what I saw with SNL, I basically went back and redeployed a lot of capital, pretty much like 30-40% of the capital that was sitting outside on the fence, any of the fiats or the stable coins I was sitting on the side, I redeployed that into crypto at this current point, because I feel like there's 2 points that we're looking at, right? ETH has a major breakout. So ETH, we broke above the $3,500 resistance. It was pretty easy to break through that. Now we're probably going to see something at around 4,000, but ETH could continue. It could be a point where we see the hype cycle building up again for ETH. People who are looking into other cryptocurrencies, especially people who got into crypto via Doge, they could be rapidly exploring the whole entire ecosystem. And there's a lot to explore here, which is amazing. 2017, there wasn't that much beyond the whole ICO gig to explore, but now in crypto, especially with ETH, there's a whole of decentralized finance to explore. That new area, that the new system of finance that's going to drastically change and replace what's happening in the whole financial markets, right? Not just with sending cryptocurrencies, but with lending platforms, essentially operating like banks, with insurance. We have exchanges coming on that are decentralized as well. Very, very big ecosystem to explore. So I'm super excited to anyone who is definitely coming into space and really cares about the space beyond just the memes. They're going to be in for a swell time. Now, Bitcoin, on the other hand, sure, Bitcoin's been sitting in what we've been seeing as, I've been calling this the golden cage, right? So between $48,000 and $64,000, Bitcoin's just been sitting here since March. And in crypto, every month is like a year, right? So it feels like it's a year or two since the last time Bitcoin really made a movement beyond this golden cage. But that's also a good thing. We're kind of pushing up a little bit more. We're showing a little bit more strength, especially as we move towards kind of more and more people understanding crypto, which is really great for the entire market. So this is why I'm actually feeling quite good. So overall, I definitely see a lot of positivity on the market. You definitely see as well a lot of asymmetry as well. So basically more coins moving up than down. So that's my kind of usual thing I do in the morning, is I just have a general check. Where are we? Just get a probe on the market. Are we more up? Are we more down? What's happening with the alts? So yet again, we're kind of pushing in that altcoin season. Now, let's get on to the main topic of what you guys are talking about, because Dogecoin really changed my mind on where we are in this market. And I'll tell you why. So let's very quickly go to my tablet here. And this is the Dogecoin chart for the past 2 weeks, right? And this is a very classic case of some sort of news happening in crypto, and that news being the SNL event. And you can very clearly see that event happening here, right? So, when you see the dump, this is the SNL event, SNL, and you see kind of the run up to the event. I'll put that as the rainbow color here, right? So as people started confirming, on Twitter, oh, Elon, are you going to talk about Dogecoin during your SNL skit? Then you can kind of see there were events up here and then causing that run up for the price of Doge, right? So this is a very classic case of buy the rumor, sell the news, right? We know that this is one of the most common, phenomenals that appear. Like, this tends to always happen. It's just human nature. It's not really anything to do with any complicated science or whatnot, but people tend to really feel like during the run up to an event, people feel like they know that something special is going to happen. They feel like they're in the know, right? They feel like they know more than everyone else, that there's going to be an event happening. And that's when, because people are very confident, they feel like they know more than everyone else, they tend to start buying. And then what happens is that during the event, when the event happens, obviously they lose that advantage, right? Now everyone knows about this, right? Everyone knows about Doge. And a lot of times, because of the hype up to a particular event, there's almost always a dump when that event doesn't live up to expectations, right? If you guys did watch the tweet on SNL, I think a lot of people were like, oh my God, SNL is trash. Oh my God, this is so unbearable, cringe. That tends to happen a lot in crypto. It's because people's expectations are through the roof, right? People are expecting that there's gonna be, Elon Musk might literally turn into a Doge and bark and throw coins at people. That's the level of expectation people are at. And this exact same event happened. One of the most memorable ones would be one of the big Neo rebranding announcements back in 2017. Virtually the same kind of phenomenon appeared, and that's memorable to me because it's one of the first times I've observed it. But once that observation really came about, it really gives me an indicator of where we are in a bull or bear market, right? Right now we're in a bull market, and it gives me an indicator. Are we towards the early part, towards the mid part, towards the end part of that bull market? Because the sentiment, right, how people react to these events and how this phenomenon plays out tells you a lot about the experience and also about the kind of skepticism going into crypto. So let me explain a little bit. All right. So typically speaking, this is the kind of event run-up phenomena that we see, right? So hype going up towards the event, and during the event happens, it dumps. Sometimes if you're very, very early in a bull cycle, right, sometimes you don't even get a dump, right? Sometimes maybe the SNL event happens, and because people's expectations were low to begin with, and because the event is so big, what sometimes happens, right? I'll draw this in yellow here, is that it continues going up. All right, oops, this is the wrong chart. Okay, so sometimes what happens is that towards the run up, the prices of the coin still goes up after. This is early. This will signify this will say early. If I can't spell early, I can't even spell today. I literally cannot spell. I'm brain dead. Yeah. Okay, this is early in a cycle, in early bull cycle. All right, where if it goes up even more, that means we're early in the bull cycle. And I don't think anyone would say that we're early in the bull cycle anymore. We're starting to approach the mid period now. Something that happens is that because people kind of, if people know that the dump's going to occur at the event, right? If people understand, this idea of, buy the rumor, sell the news, right? And then we know exactly when the news is going to happen. What tends to happen, and what tends to happen as the market gets more and more experience, is that people start dumping before the event, right? So they'll start selling earlier, right? You don't want to be caught in this, so you want to sell here. Right, so you want to sell before the event happens, right? So that's kind of the strategy that a lot of people adopt. So did I sell? Did I adopt the strategy? Absolutely. And I was telling you guys a little bit about it on Friday. Now, Friday I was quite bearish. Why was I so bearish on Friday? Well, it's because Friday we only saw the graph up to this point, right? So this was a minor dump here, and this showed that there was significant weakness in Dogecoin. And if something like this happened, if this was a chart, that would mean that we'll be towards the end of a bull market, because the run up was here. And then very early on, right before 1 or 2, 3, 4 days before the event, people started already cashing out because they're afraid of this dump. Right? So that was why I was a little bit bearish, because if the dump is happening so early, if the dump is happening 1 to 2 days before an event, that means we're towards the later end of a bull cycle, right? If you get the gist of it. So if people are afraid of this, and people who have been into space for a long time, they all know that this was going to happen, because they understand that that the expectations of these people cannot be met, right? You can kind of see that in different chat groups. You ask people, what do you expect to happen during the SNL skit? And people are like, Doge $1. Well, in that case, then, sorry, in that case, you should be very alarmed. You should be very scared, right? Well, not financial advice, of course. I would be very scared. So that's a case where I thought kind of what was happening was that the dump was kind of happening early, and the earlier that dump happens before a major event, the more the more later we are in a bull market. That's how I would kind of gauge this. So that didn't happen. So that was good. So that was some good news over the weekend. So after this little scare bit, the price went up a little bit more, and it beat this previous high as well, right before the event that happened, before the SNL event, right? So this actually tells me that this gap is very, very small, right? Oops, sorry, yet again. Really, really bad. So yeah, my bad. So yeah, so the run up was very strong here, where it kind of recovered in price and then beat the previous high, and then the gap, the distance between the event and the peak is very, very tiny, right? Very, very tiny. That tells me that we're still actually quite early, right? That people are still buying this. It's kind of crazy, but that the hype towards that was crazy. Now, I also during the Dogecoin SNL skit, everyone was asking about Dogecoin, right? Like all those high school friends, like everyone, like literally, there's just like different friends from every place, every nook and cranny. They're like, "Oh, I remember you're in crypto, and this Doge thing. Is it really that great?" Right before SNL skit, obviously, right? And then half an hour later, I send them a screenshot of Doge going down. I'm like, hype cycle, be careful, be careful, be careful. But anyway, so yeah, this tells me that people are still kind of very trading based on emotion and not on kind of logic and or experience in the space, where they have this run up and this gap, because it is so small. I feel like we're still quite early in the Dogecoin, or rather in the crypto cycle, because Doge right now being number, let's see, is it number 5 or number 4 cryptocurrency right now? It's constantly competing to be number 1, number 4, number 5. It's such a good indicator. Yeah, so it's right now it's number 5. It's very, very close to number 2. So you can see it's only $1 billion difference from Ripple, but you can definitely see yeah, so yeah, there we go. Can't really switch scenes today, but you can see Doge is very close. It gives you a good indicator of where the public is at, right? Because we know that when the public comes into crypto, is a great thing. Everyone learns about crypto, prices go up because there's more demand. Everyone is interested. Everyone wants it. But the problem with the general public going to crypto is that a lot of people don't understand. So we have these giant collapses in the cryptocurrency price. When a little bit of fear comes on the market, then everyone gets like weak hands and then starts selling, and then I'm like, oh my god, the cycle continues, right? So obviously I don't want that, but I kind of understand that, yet again, this is kind of how the general psychology of people work. And it's something that we just kind of deal with in crypto. We understand it, and if you trade with it, if you trade understanding this, then that's great. If you trade not understanding this, then I don't know. It's problematic to say the very least. So anyway, so did I trade this? Yes, I did. I was very transparent about the fact that I was trading Doge, and my trading strategy for Doge is actually quite simple. When no one talks about Doge, I buy. All right, that's generally speaking the case. Where no one talks about Doge, I tend to buy. So I actually use the Doge Bull leverage tokens, the 3x tokens, and they kind of work quite well for Doge, because honestly, Doge is not something I want to hold for a long time. It's something that's a purely trade, and I'm okay with losing everything that I have in Doge, which means that if you trade Doge Bull, if the coin prices fall by 33%, then you get obliterated. Most likely you'll lose all your money, right? That's how these Bull tokens work. It's 3 times leveraged, right? Which means if it goes down by 33%, wrecked, game over. But at the same time, if it goes up by 33%, you double your money, and if it goes up by 100%, you triple your money, right? That's kind of how these Bull tokens work, and it worked super well. So let me just very quickly copy and paste the trades over here. So I didn't do too much after this. So let me see, Doge 1 and Doge 2. Let me just copy this chart over. Let me show you guys this. So with Doge Bull, I roughly got it around $30,000. I showed you guys 2 orders, so roughly around here and here. And then I sold a bit, right? So I sold here and here. So it was from 30K to around, there was a one at 120K, and then there was another time at 90K. So roughly there. So I bought at 30, and then I sold at 90 and 120. In fact, I sold one more, the last 20% up around 160 as well. So that was a good trade. That was really fun. And obviously, it's highly risky. So if you're trading something like Doge Bull, if Doge went down at this point, then I could have got obliterated, could have gone to zero. That was an absolute possibility. I was willing to, but it didn't go to that because obviously the SNL skill was coming and everything was coming. So did I exit a little bit early? Obviously, I did. Let me just show you guys the true Dogecoin Doge Bull chart. So it's a little bit obvious here what is happening. So on FTX, just give me a sec. Doge, let's see, Doge Bull. All right, so Doge Bull is here, blah, blah, blah. All right, so yeah, you saw this huge cycle. So I did get caught out. So you can see on, actually not the, probably day one is not very good. Let's go for this one. All right, so there was twin peaks on here. So yeah, so I got a little bit spooked out at this point, which, I mean, I guess you could have gone back in time and said, "Oh, you're an idiot. You should have held through." But I didn't know at that time, right? So I took some profits at this here and then around here, because I knew the kind of the SNL event was here, and I knew that I wanted to exit the position before the SNL skit actually happened. That would be high risk for me, right? Low risk would be when no one is talking about Doge. So when no one talks about Doge, I kind of enter the position and then take the profits on the way up. So basically having literally 3x. I'm okay with 3x, 3x. In fact, I'm okay with 20% gains, whatever, right? And then not 30x, 3x. Okay, 3. Okay, I kind of write to it 3x. So this will be a 4x up here. So yeah, so I'm okay with these numbers. A little bit better here. That would be around 5.2x. So yeah, so I'm okay with these numbers. I mean, it was a fun trade. It was, it was fun and interesting for a while, and then obviously I kind of stayed away from the SNL skid. Right, like I'm risk averse. I don't know what the hell is gonna happen here, and we know that what tends to happen is people in crypto, they buy the rumors, sell the news, and if that holds held true, that was my philosophy. I needed to exit my positions before the SNL event, which is why most of the exiting happened on Thursday and Friday, so a little bit beforehand. So am I sad that I missed the second top? Not really. I think that's fine, and I took some profits, and that was my trade. Did I get back into Doge? Yes, I did. So when the SNL skit happened, when everyone was disappointed, I just saw everyone being disappointed on Twitter. I was like, you know what? Let me enter the position. Let me re-enter a little bit and see how it goes. Well, so that was kind of fun. That was my ride that was my entertainment for the weekend. Kind of trading that. It was not very serious. It was a situation where I'm just kind of like, oh, I'm playing with this. I kind of understand the sentiment of and the patterns of what's going on. I'm trading based on these patterns, and that worked very well for Doge because Doge is one of those coins where there's a lot of problems and people know that and understand there's a lot of problems with Doge. But the interesting part about Doge is that there's no like developments, right? One of the biggest problems is that you want an active development team and you want this coin to improve. But with Doge, it's relatively abandoned, either that or decentralized, if you want to say it that way. It's decentralized. No one's really leading a development for it. So this is one of the easiest coins to research, right? You don't have anything that's happening in the last few years that drastically affects, no fundamental developments that drastically affects it. Mostly a sentiment play. And yeah, the sentiment seems to suggest that we're still quite early mid bull market is where I would pin everything at right now. So I'll pin us at early mid bull market where people still, they don't understand how hype cycles work. They're still speculating right towards the end of an SNL event. And yeah, I think that's good. That's good for at least for people who understand where the sentiment is. And I think this also it kind of reconfirms the rainbow chart I've been showing you guys here. a lot where, you know, we're at this point where we're kind of at the middle of the rainbow chart. So you can see that here, Bitcoin follows through these cycles. It's just these like, bull and bear cycles, and we're mid bull, and that kind of reconfirms it, right? Mid bull, we're in the middle of the orange chart, and people are still coming in. New people are coming in. They still don't really understand how these cycles work, and yeah, that could power up the next bit. So yeah, I'm actually feeling a lot more bullish, to be frank. So yeah. So now what's happening now? So obviously people have taken some profits off Dogecoin. It is definitely one of the strongest performers of this year still, and this will lead to more interest in crypto, which is why I'm still feeling bullish, right? Think about all those people who managed to get in Doge early, especially if you manage to get in Doge before like at 7 cents or whatnot, you'll be laughing all your way to your bank right now, right? Which is very likely what Elon Musk is doing. But at this current point, yeah. So people who are, on Doge Cannon, on the Doge train, what are they looking at next? Which is one of the biggest questions people ask me, right? What are people looking at next? Well, obviously the rest of what's happening in crypto. Now, there's probably be two branches. So realistically, there'll probably be two branches of people and two philosophies. So hopefully they go and look towards the greater decentralized finance ecosystem and find value in the space, because we know that one of the biggest values in crypto is potential to disrupt what is happening in the financial world. But of course, there's other people who will be like, oh, let's double down on the memes, right? Let's double down. Let's take on these memes. Let's just find TikTok influencers and buy shit coins. I'm sure there's some other people like that too. I mean, if you look at the whole phenomena with cummies, there's a coin called cummies. It's like, anyways, I'm not going to talk too much about it here, but it's, I literally see that as people just doubling down on the Doge. And yeah. It's like, I watch some TikTok videos on like FML, like just crypto. Why are you like this? Why you like this? But anyways, here's about Doge. That's kind of my take on the market. I definitely feel like we're still early, and also even in terms of the altcoin market, right? If you look at the altcoin dominance charts, right? I can't even find that anymore. Where's my altcoin bubble chart? They changed it. They changed my altcoin bubble chart. Oh, yeah, altcoin season index is what we're at. So we're very much in the strength a very strong altcoin bull season, and this is yet again. There was a little bit of fear for me. There was also a little bit of bearishness on Friday, but just seeing how this played out, I still think like the all season can last quite some time at this coin point, quite frankly. Especially with ETH moving up and mooning, I feel like all the people who are looking at Doge, right, especially the new people who were being pushed into Doge, they'll probably be looking at ETH, because ETH is the strongest performer of this weekend, right? Of the top coins that are accessible to most people, ETH is performing very strongly. In fact, we're above 4,047. So yeah, it seems like 4,000, it wasn't a very strong resistance points after all. So anyways, I feel like that's going to be quite interesting if we have an ETH cycle, and then maybe a Binance Smart Chain cycle, and then maybe we'll have a Solana narrative cycle, maybe even OKX chain cycle. I don't know. That'll be interesting. So anyways, shitcoin, we got Dave Frank Driven says shitcoin mania is running running wild. Yes, I absolutely think so. So anyways, we got cryptocurrencies at Box Mining altcoin bubble chart. Sir, bubbles only pop once. We got multiple. This is crypto bubbles. We got multiple. It's a cycle, man. It's a cycle. It's crazy. Smarks Code Wrestling says at Box Mining, will we have another DeFi season? I absolutely think so. Like DeFi is one of the strongest performers. Yet again, I think like what's going to power a DeFi cycle, we'll say, is I'll point this out here. I'm a little bit disappointed that the general public is not catching on to DeFi. All right, I'll just leave that out there. So right now in our cycle, it's like kind of the meme coin cycle, right? We have all the memes right now. Your Safe Moons, your Doge, your all these random coins that really can't disrupt anything. They're getting a lot of attention, I'm not hating. I'm just saying that this is a fact. I'm a little bit disappointed that people aren't seeing the disruption that can be brought by DeFi. Because with DeFi right now, right, if you look at the solid facts, right, if you look at the solid facts, I'll have the news bit. I'll throw this news bit here as well. So, for example, almost twice as much ETH is locked in DeFi as on exchanges. This is now a fact, right? People are doing this sort of analysis and realize, oh wow, people are now locking up their Ethereum in decentralized finance products because they trust it, and also they're deploying capital there. Now, what's kind of interesting about decentralized finance is that if it's locked in DeFi, a lot of times, say if it's locked on a lending platform, now this ETH can be used and redeployed almost like the bank would redeploy that money, right? So now you see a huge change and huge disruption in this ecosystem. So people believing both more in decentralized finance and decentralized finance having more function. But this is not sexy, right? This is not sexy to people who are coming into crypto for the first time because they don't really understand what's happening. But if you play around with crypto, you'll be amazed. I think this year, like my mind was just blown at the amount of innovation here. It's good and bad because this can drastically change how banking works, right? DeFi is rapidly changing these main pillars of finance, like lending platforms. That's what a bank does. It just takes your money and lends it out to other people. But there's also insurance products that bank offers. We have that in crypto, like Nexus Mutual. Then we have exchanges, just kind of mirroring NASDAQ and everything else there. So you can see the whole banking sector, right, drastically being replaced by the decentralized banking structure. And recently we brought on people like, say, from who was that? Alliance Block was actually really good. Alliance Block, you see these engineers that were building for traditional finance. Rashid was one of them. And Rashid, basically, he built for traditional finance. And then now he's like coming to decentralized finance and be like, oh, this is just way better. And then now there's like he's bringing KYC and allowing the big institutions to invest in DeFi. So to answer that question, I know that was very long-winded. To answer that question, will there be a wave in DeFi? Yes, there will. That's what I believe. But it might come a little bit later. It might come not by the general public, which I was hoping for, but didn't happen. But this will come later on, maybe through institutional investors, and if a certain groups or fragments of the general public falls in love with DeFi. So that's kind of when I see that DeFi wave happening. So it could be quite soon, because as with Ethereum moving up the way it is, yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's only gonna be fun. So anyways, okay, so we got a lot of questions about different coins. I'll try to answer them as much as possible. I always have a list of coins I want to look up and pursue, but a lot of times it's just getting a little bit crazy. So apologies if I don't cover your favorite coin. I'll try to cover as much coverage of the space as possible. And now this is a good time to start moving on to our news segment to see what is happening on the news side of everything. So first and foremost, SEC is always coming in and saying some interesting or fun stuff. By fun, I mean extremely boring. SEC chair finally admits that Bitcoin has a store of value, okay, and then classifies most tokens as security. So what's interesting here, all right, what's interesting here is that Gensler, he's saying that to the extent of something as a security, the SEC has a lot of authority, and a lot of crypto tokens, I won't call them cryptocurrencies at this moment, are indeed security. So he's not very joyful, not very jolly, but I think this is expected in this space. There's a lot of uncertainty with what is a currency and what is a security at this current moment, and this will be one of the big problems that will plague crypto, not just for this year, but for the coming decade to come. I think this is the big issue. It's where tech drastically outpaced what's happening in the traditional world. If you think about it, right, laws take a long time to be implemented, and the speed at which at least with decentralized finance, right, these tokens can mean anything, right, which is a crazy part, and there could be insane amount of functionality added to tokens, which just completely messes up the traditional thought landscape, because now tokens can directly be attached to something like governance, right? We've seen that being very, very popular this year, where everything becomes a governance token, right? And then we have other functionality too. We have deflationary tokens that, every time you send them, they'll lose 3% of their value, and that gets distributed to the remaining token holders, right? You can program something like that, snap your fingers, it's done. But what that means in a traditional sense is very, very different. So yeah, we're gonna have to see. The craziest part about the SEC and my understanding, yet again, I'm not a U.S. Securities lawyer, but after listening to a lot of securities lawyers, and my understanding of it is that there's nothing that classifies, or there's no definitive test to test if something is not a security. Right, so something like the Howey test will test to see if something is a security, but failing that test does not prove it's not a security. So this is the hard part, and this is going to be something that happens for the next decade. This kind of struggle between what everything is classified as. And what I can see is that as the crypto markets heat up, as more and more trade volume comes here, there's going to be more and more regulation. I think that's almost a given at any point. So I think just expect that uncertainty. That's unfortunately one of the biggest parts of what's happening here. And yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. Next up, this is quite interesting on NFTs. So Sotheby's is jumping straight into the NFT bandwagon. They definitely see the amount of profits they can generate. The more profits they can generate, the more they love this, right? So I think both Christie's and Sotheby's are going to have a fun time, a swell time this year. But anyway, Sotheby's is auctioning the first NFT ever minted. Admittedly, it's quite ugly. This is actually a NFT minted in 2014. But you know what? Hey, history in crypto, right? If you're into colored coins and you're OG and you own crypto from back then, which some people do, right? I've talked to some people who were in colored coins, and they were into these early NFTs. They would pay plenty of good money for this. So I guess congrats to people who minted something so early, and congrats to people who are buying this. I'm happy for you. Next up, this is a fun game that is coming up and releasing. So this is Mist. So you guys probably asked a little bit about Mist. This is a project that was launched and the Kickpad. So this is on Kickpad. This is the project Mist, and this is a gameplay footage video of that. And this is how far we've actually come in crypto, I think. Like initially, before we have like these very simple JPEGs, but this is a video game that is built on NFTs, like basically using non-fungible tokens, assets, and it's an entire game. And a lot has happened. I mean, when I first saw Mist, a lot of the animations were not complete. They had like the monsters couldn't walk and jump, but now you can see that development is actually moving along very, very quickly. You got animations being set up. The main character animation is also set up. Obviously, I think there were a few graphical glitches somewhere along the line, but you can definitely see a huge amount of work has been done. And you can see that in crypto, right? Like right now, what we're seeing is the first utility and use cases of this. It's very early on, but you can definitely see the quality of everything that's being produced is drastically improving along the way. So anyways, congrats to those guys there. Now, what's up with everything else? I will talk a little bit about negative news as well. So first and foremost, we have a few exploits that happened. So one is with Value that happened this weekend, and the other one is with what was it called again? Come on, where's my news? Rari, yes. So I'll combine these together. So first and foremost, Rari Capital falls victim to an $11 million exploit. So yet again, this is the great and horrible thing about DeFi. So DeFi, there's still a lot of bugs that it's not kinked out. I think I had a comment once. I think this was actually from Richard Hart promoting his coin. He's like, oh, why don't you get into Hex? Hex been audited 3 times, right? And you talk about this DeFi thing all the time, and DeFi gets hacked all the time. What are you doing? You scammer box mining. Look, DeFi is extremely experimental, but it's trying to achieve a lot, right? You're trying to rebuild the entire banking infrastructure, and we're going to have a few failures along the way, quite a few, if not everything. Whilst on his hand, his token Hex, I'm going to throw a little bit of shade there, but it's literally a pyramid scheme. You don't need you don't need many audits for a pyramid scheme. People roughly understand how it works and how you can program a pyramid scheme. But to reprogram an entire financial system, you're gonna have a lot of hiccups along the way, right? So, anyways, this is one of those times when we have hiccups, and so Rari Capital falls victim to a $11 million exploit. And this actually involves not just Rari, but an integration as well. So right now, what we're seeing, and a lot of times what's happening is that inside one of these projects, the code might be fine, but when they interact with someone else's code, all right, this is when the hackers can exploit weaknesses. So this time it was when they're working with Alpha. So this is when Rari Capital gets deployed into Alpha pools, something bad happens there, right? So this will be one of the biggest kind of, I guess this will be one of the biggest targets for programmers and for people who want to change the space and disrupt the space to find ways that they can work together. We've seen something like this in the past where, yet again, I think both of these hacks relate to very similar ideas. So Rari was with the Alpha Labs integration, and then DeFi Value was to do with how they target pools, right? So this is, let me just see how it works. So it's to do with how they target their balances, how they read balances and an incorrect Bancor formula. So yet again, I think this will probably be the next big hurdle to tackle. So this was a case where Value had an issue with incorrect formula when they're working with Bancor. Right, so this is with Bancor, and the Rari Capital hack that happens with when they're integrating Alpha Lab. Right, so I feel like this is going to be the biggest barrier to decentralized finance. If you guys are following what's happening, it's basically all these protocols working with each other, and when they work with each other, sometimes it's just super unclean. All right, sometimes a hacker can exploit either a formula that was kind of mistyped in, or a misunderstanding of a formula, or it was to do with certain parameters, or maybe even buggy code. But this will be a big problem, and it's very hard to audit. Like, I think a lot of people ask, if this has happening all the time, why don't people audit more? Well, first and foremost, I talked to a lot of guys at Hacken. Some of it could be prevented, but a lot of times you need multiple pairs of eyes, not just on the protocol, but the integration. So yeah, I feel like this is going to be a big programming challenge in the times ahead. So anyways, those are two hacks that happened. I think it's unfortunate, but at this point, I don't know. I think the sad part is I'm learning to just live with it. It's like, it's like another DeFi issue. Anyways, okay, so on to some more positive news. We got SpaceX. They're gonna accept Dogecoin. So I guess that's one way to spend your money, huh? If you're a rich Dogecoin holder, well, you can spend your Doge launching either yourself or satellites into SpaceX. So if you want to launch a big Dogecoin, I think Elon Musk has got a solution for you. I dare anyone, though. If you guys made a big profit on Dogecoin, I dare you to literally purchase not a satellite, but maybe just like a stuffed Doge and launch it. Because like people watch at SpaceX launch events, right? So imagine if they're just gonna they bring your package out there, right? These spaceship carriers, they bring their package out there to push out into space. I dare you. I challenge one of you guys to do it, right? Credit me when that happens, right? Credit me when giving you the idea when that happens. But I challenge you guys to pay for one of those satellite launches and launch a Doge toy into space, because we need that. We need that. All right. Next up, we got okay, so we got Bitcoin is getting an upgrade, Taproot upgrade. I love this. So the funny thing here, right? The funny thing here is that if you read this article, this is on Cointelegraph. If you read this article, you will have no idea what Taproot is. It's essentially an upgrade with the code infrastructure of Bitcoin. All right. I still have to, even for me, I read this morning. I basically had no idea what it is. But I'm going to complain about a few things here. But anyway, so what is going to happen is it's going to happen when all these dots turn green. All right. So these are miners, and they need to signal for this Taproot upgrade, and it's going to pave the way to two things. One, for more privacy, but it's not immediately going to be privacy. And then it's also going to pave the way for smart contracts potentially happening on Bitcoin. So this will be something that might happen later on this year. So in order for this to happen, all these little dots have to turn green. So these dots represent miners, and they all need to start signaling the upgrade. So right now, around 26% is signaling that, and then we'll see what's going to happen is that once you pass the 90%, the whole network itself is going to start triggering the event, and then we're going to see the upgrade happen. So most people knowing miners and how they work, it's going to take a while. It might take until the end of this year, or it might be the next year, 2 years for this to happen, but fingers crossed it's going to be fast. Now, I do have to make a complaint, though. I was reading this article, and why it it took a long time to read is because if you read it, all right, what exactly is Taproot here on this article? I love Cointelegraph. I'll reveal a little bit of their journalism tricks here. So it's used to enhance the overall stability of the network, make transactions cheaper and easier to deploy, but also eventually allow for deployment of smart contracts. So that's information, right? It also proposes significant privacy promises, i.e. makes transactions look the same to everyone except the transacting parties. This is potential camouflage. The framework to CS, though, has been inspired by a security-centric crypto offerings available to the market today, thus potentially moving Bitcoin closer to privacy-focused coins, at least from a design standpoint. Basically, more privacy. All right, so that still makes sense. But this is the interesting part. On the subject, Anthony Trenchev, co-founder and managing partner of the platform Nexo, has something to say for this, right? He says, these major improvements will pave the way for even wider Bitcoin adoption and continue the price appreciation. Ho, ho, ho. This tells me nothing. Thank you very much, Anthony Trechev. Let's see what Joe Edgerton, Chief Operating Officer of the cryptocurrency exchange Bitflyer USA, has to say. First of all, it reduces the transaction size, which will lower transaction fees. Additionally, it can improve privacy, which is exactly what the first two sentences of this paragraph said, right? So he didn't add anything of value. And then we need to talk to more people, right? We need to talk to Leo Yaffe of software company Juridia. This is why no one understands crypto, all right? Because obviously, I think what happened here was Cointelegraph started asking all their partners, right? Maybe their partners at Nexo, because Nexo's a sponsor. They asked their sponsors at Bitflyer. So, you guys want to have an opinion. We'll put our opinion in our latest article. And then we have some partners maybe at, Juridia. You want to get famous, come on this article, right? So they literally shoved, I think, so we got Warwick's Exchange, probably another partner of Cointelegraph coming in. So they're literally filling all their partners and what they have to say in a very simple article. All right, that irked me immensely this morning. I'm like, how do you expect people to either gain value or understand crypto if you just shove all your sponsors into the same article? I mean, anyways, that's me for this. That's me bitching at Cointelegraph. I mean, come on, tune down your business practices. All right. Okay, so what else is coming up this week? So we got a shout out for Mercurial Finance. It's launching in FTX. I think everyone is like crazy talking to me about that. So even like everywhere I go in Genesis block, they're like super excited for Mercurial Finance. So that's happening on the 13th. That's Thursday of this week. So if you guys are interested, it's on FTX and it's on multiple platforms. We also have the other project I'm looking at, which is O3 Swap. This one's actually really interesting. So this one, what they're doing is they're doing cross-chain aggregation on multiple platforms. So what O3 Swap is doing is they're like the next generation of exchanges. Right now, we see these decentralized exchanges popping up on different platforms. Say, for example, there's Uniswap that's happening on Ethereum. People use that, great. But the same exchange can also be like, say if it's something simple like Ethereum to USDC, the same exchange can also happen on Binance Smart Chain, on PancakeSwap, right? They're different they're on completely different platforms. They're using different exchanges. And the rates might be different, right? It's almost like comparing different prices for a product in different supermarkets. I mean, there's multiple supermarkets around you, right? Some of them might be super expensive. Maybe like Trader Joe's. Like Trader Joe's has apple chips, it's super expensive. Maybe you can go to Walmart and it's cheaper. So that's what O3 Swap does. It basically finds where the best exchange is on which platform. It's cross-chain and then executes that exchange for you. So I definitely see something like this to become something super valuable, because we definitely saw that at first, Uniswap just popped up and just changed the game. But now at this current point, there's Pancake Swap and just Bakery Swap, and then there's Radium on Solana. There's even more that's being on ADA, and there's Honey Swap. So all these exchanges are happening, and basically it just chooses the right chain for you to get the right price. So anyways, that seems to be something that is going to be critical in the future, because we see more and more chains pop up dealing with these solutions. Is it optimal for everyone? Is the best user experience? Probably not to have multiple chains, but because our community is fractured in a way, and because people value different coins and different chains, we're going to end up, I think, in the next 2 years with just major amounts of liquidity on different types of chain. And what O3 essentially does is it allows for the aggregation to happen. It allows orders to be routed through multiple chains, multiple exchanges, to get the best rate and then come out at the end. So anyways, it's on multiple launch platforms. If you're in one of these, if you see one of these familiar logos, then yeah. Anyways, I'll it's kind of ridiculous how crazy the business development was, just like getting on everything. But it's on Duckstarter, it's on MXC, it's on BouncePad, it's on BSC Pad. So enjoy. We got BMATX ask Refinable question mark. So that's a good question. Refinable, what's happening there? So a lot has actually been happening for the last few weeks. A lot of which I cannot say, which is unfortunate. So I'm an advisor for Refinable. It's been very volatile. It's been on a roller coaster ride for a long while. It's basically, if you want to know what it is, it's essentially it's trying to build the best marketplace on Binance Smart Chain, right? So that's kind of the situation of where it's at right now. So the app is launching, all right? The test is here, so everyone can test it out right now. So you can join the beta, you can be on the Telegram to join that beta right now. And what's going to happen is that there's going to be quite a lot of background work. So I know Nick's been busy trying to get partnerships on that. I'm not privy to say a lot of the discussions are in place, but it's been pretty crazy, to say the very least. So yeah, so that's going to be what's happening on the Refinable front. The marketplace, the NFT marketplace is coming. You can already see the preview up here on my screen. So yeah, and then it's going to be quite interesting to see what's going to happen on there. So anyways, guys, so that's pretty much a wrap up for what I have for you guys today to talk about. I'm pretty excited. I'm actually a lot more bullish. So, suck it up, Rob. I'm a lot more bullish now, especially after what happens. And hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode. So we're close to wrap up time. So I want to target all these streams to be under an hour. Just the hour works well for YouTube's algo, so I'll target for that. So guys, make sure we got a question on Theta and T-Fuel. I don't really have any strong opinions. I know you guys asked about Theta and T-Fuel. I don't really have too strong opinions on that, to be honest. I've used their platform. I've seen it. I don't really have any strong opinions either for or against it. So yeah, it's one of those things, if you like streaming platforms, enjoy. Am I in it? I'm not too heavily in it, to be honest, but I hope it works. It's on a very different trajectory than a lot of other stuff. So like video content plus streaming plus a platform supporting that, the idea has been around for a while, but it's never it met a few hiccups, but T-Fuel might be the one that breaks through, right? So hopefully, fingers crossed. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much it on everything that's happening. Tomorrow, there will also be a lucky draw for Refinable. I'll be going to their event, so make sure you stay tuned on the Refinable channel for that. And yeah, we'll have to see very soon what's happening. So guys, thank you guys so much for watching today's episode, and we'll see you guys very, very soon in the next one. I'd like to take the time now to tell you a little bit about everything that's happening in the box mining ecosystem. First and foremost, if you guys like listening to all that's happening in crypto on the go, then I would highly recommend you checking out the Box Mining Bitcoin Out of the Box podcast. And the reason why it's called Bitcoin Out of the Box is because we have long interview segments very much exploring the detail of the newest and latest of what's going on in this whole cryptocurrency space. Whole idea of it is to bridge that gap between knowledge privileged institutional investors and the rest of us here in this space. Now, with the podcast, it's on everything. So it's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Google Podcasts, it's on Spotify. Just search it anywhere, Bitcoin Out of the Box. So just add that onto a playlist and then just follow the new episodes when it's released. Next up, we also have the Box Mining newsletter. So this happens roughly bi-weekly. We give you an update of the latest that's going on in a very summarized, condensed format. So this is perfect for anyone that wants an overview of the market. Say, for example, what's happening with OKX, the biggest event, or maybe the little things like what's happening with different coins and overall the trend. So what I use the newsletter for personally myself is to understand what kind of phase we're in crypto, to kind of get in tune. So if you don't read crypto every day, the newsletter is perfect for you.